Welcome back. Of course, you're watching Daybreak, and as always, you can weigh in on the conversations we have this morning. The hashtag is Daybreak, and our SMS line is 22422. Before we get to our big topic of the day, we still want to continue looking at what's happening in the papers. And on page 7, the Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics have gotten a full-page ad talking about matters census. And joining us for this discussion, I must say, is MC Jessy, comedian and MC. And for him, I could begin by asking him whether he has any questions or concerns with the census about a week away. First of all, where will you be? Yeah. So here's how they're going to do it from what they've told us. There's House A and House B discussions. They've said that even if they get to you 3 days after, they will ask you where you are on the 24th. That is the house where they will mark. We asked one of the officials here yesterday that question because someone was asking if you're in House A on the 24th and House B on the 25th. What a question.
Where were you counted?
Where will you be counted? So Jessy, I don't know whether you participated in the last census in whatever way, whether you were counted, if you even remember, but what questions would you have about this?
Well, actually, will it be a public holiday? It will be.
Yes.
And then Sidani wanapata wa Kenya.
You're speaking on behalf of government.
It's not been confirmed
you
yet.
You speak with confidence.
There's been an argument around it.
They actually have put a word out there, and I should actually be able to speak about that. You cannot able to carry out that exercise without necessarily creating room. And we have got a very flexible system. So we do not need really to
debate on that.
And they expect us to be at home.
They'll close the bars and restaurants. Certain counties have issued orders that all bars and restaurants be closed on the night of the 24th.
For us to be counted.
Such you're at home.
They can count people kwa bar na kesha.
Hold your thought. Let's hear what David has to say about this first. Do you have any concerns about this issue of census? Because one of the biggest concerns was that people don't know. There's not enough public information. And the official was here yesterday was saying that that's because just before that there was the Huduma Namba registration. So they did not start the civic education early. But as it stands, are you comfortable?
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with me being comfortable or not.
No, just as a taxpayer, because you'll be counted. Are you okay with the people coming to see you? Do you know that at what point to open the doors? We're now making this a very basic conversation on how much you know about the census. Okay,
I think it's very important that we have it because it helps the government in terms of planning for provision of social services and all those many other nice things that it helps with. But I think the concern that most Kenyans might have is what will the data be used for? Because numbers are very important when it comes to all matters politics. And since we have an election coming up in a few years, I think there's a lot of people that feel that maybe these data will be used to sort of, kind of influence how people think about the numbers. But as a taxpayer,
talking about Cambridge Analytica type stuff.
Kind of. And also how come all this information about us is being collected and we don't know how secure our data is? So for instance, who will know where I live and all that information about myself other than the government? Like, are there enough measures in place to make sure that, because like as recent as yesterday, I got a call from someone and he was like, are you Tabitha, my second name Mwangi, and I'm calling you from Safaricom? And it happens a lot. And I don't know where he got my number, and I hardly use my second name. So unless he maybe found my ID somewhere or he knows me from school, then it just makes me very uncomfortable as a Kenyan in terms of what happens to my data and how is that data used by other people. So I think the government needs to do a lot of civic education to make people understand why it's a very important exercise and just assure them that their data will be safe.
Arnold, yesterday when we were talking about this, we had quite some coverage last night on the bulletin.
Yes.
A few people were texting in to say that they will resist.
They will not open their doors.
They will not open their doors.
To people they don't know.
say that they're still not clear on the Huduma Namba registration process. And some are even asking, what is in it for me? I remember one text that stood out. Someone said, President Kibaki gave us mosquito nets after we gave that information. Jubilee government watatupea nini? What is in it for me to open my door, to entertain strangers for 30 minutes or God knows what time in the middle of the night, possibly?
First of all, last year I wrote an article in the Business Daily just asking KNBS to involve stakeholders in planning for the census and the process of production of data. Because in a data-driven world, there is everything for you in showing up and opening up that door to be counted. Because that's how we get to plan for you. That's how we get to do the interventions and know everything. How the last time we did this was 10 years ago. So there is every reason for you to open up that door. Today, the gold standard of doing everything is about data. As in, data now is king. It is now the new gold. Without data, we cannot be able to plan effectively. Otherwise, we will be doing a lot of conjecture and a lot of magic. So open your door, be counted. Like Huduma Namba, because I do a lot of business around data, I know that data is everything. So please, even for those who are resisting Huduma Namba, please go out, receive that Huduma Namba, because it's just because as a country we have got data that is very dirty data. If you compare with other people, I have had an opportunity where we are trying to work on something and we compare our data and it just doesn't match up. So this is an opportunity for us to clean up that. And data production is very expensive. There must be return on investment. That's why it only happens once in 10 years. It's very, very expensive. So we are not hoping that they will do this. Of course, Jessy would say that they can count us anywhere. And of course they can. They should actually make the process very flexible. So that they also don't have to also lump us together and heap us and flock us like animals, like you must be at home. Based on the constitution we have, somebody can simply run to court and complicate. We have really become very litigious. So
we
I think
expect that actually from your
so I'm thinking there is need. I think what they really didn't do very well, they didn't have a proper communication strategy to just ensure that we communicate. You know, for example, Huduma Namba means a lot of good things. But the way it was communicated, and even the face that was communicating it, it looks so militant. Guys are like, kind of, this guy wants to box us the way he boxed us while he was in communication and while he was in the Ministry of Education, now he wants to box us. So I think that one thing that they've really not done very well is communication. So they really need to communicate this in the few days. You see, guys are raiding the training centers for enumerators, and even the way they recruited, people are feeling aggrieved. Like, we live in this area and we don't know anyone who is coming to count us. And we also know that people have used such like exercises to commit crime. Because it's a very good alibi. You just show up and, you know, we've come to actually count you, and then when you open up, somebody shows up with a gun. What happens up? They've also not told us that that cannot happen, especially when we do not know the people who are coming to, because this business should be done by locals. Every community has got local people who can do that.
Who is a local in a place where out of 165,000 jobs, 800,000 people applied? How do you vet the real local?
When we talk about a local, there's just a way that out of 5, I should be able to know one. I know that unless you are so secretive, somehow somebody might never know that they know you live in that neighborhood, but they see you every day. They might not be talking to you, but somehow you have got an idea, you know this person.
You know every neighbor.
Not everyone.
Of yours,
that's why I say somehow you should be able to know who's, and especially in villages. When people are saying that, last time the people who came to do Huduma Namba here, you saw yesterday what was happening in Westland.
Yes.
That the people who came here to register Huduma Namba, we know none of them. So we thought that was a foreign thing. Now we are doing census. People who should be able to speak to us in a manner that looks like, because it's a household census, right? We even do not know them. So whom are they coming to? Who is coming to count us? So of course they are right. And then we are in a country that is actually very open, very free. People should be able to protest and do whatever they are doing. And we really don't have to complain also about that.
Jessy, you're giving us your thoughts on this.
What she has said is I think that's what we need to follow. We need to have civic education concerning the census to know what is it all about. Because in the case of Huduma Namba, not very many people knew what Huduma Namba is all about. They knew, the perception was, if I don't get Huduma Namba, I'll never get any government services. People thought they wouldn't even be able to withdraw money from their mobile phones. So, and that was a big worry. And now coming to the census.
How would you define Huduma Namba to a foreigner right now?
In a definition.
No, they say there's a definition.
I was told you're collecting data to enable us have one central place where when you go to access government services, unaipata hapo ni kama ID number.
Kama ID number.
Yeah.
Ni kama ID number yenye tuko nayo.
Ni kama ID number which you already have.
And the problem was, why were we getting Huduma Namba and we already have an ID number that we can be identified with? If you go on eCitizen, you enter your ID number, you get your details there. Why are we adding another number?
Yeah.
That was
what,
yeah, KRA PIN. That is what people were concerned about. Why am I adding another number? I can't even remember my other PIN number, so I have to grab this other number here. So with the census, we need sensitization to the society. People to be told this is why we are doing it. Yeah. The last time we did it was in 2009. Yeah. And yes, there's some people who actually that time, maybe they were young or they never cared, but they were counted, or maybe we were safe at that time. And as he mentioned, asubuhi or jioni. Actually, they do it in the evening. Then somebody knocks and aumjui. Will you open? I think maybe if they want us to feel, if the government wants us to feel safe, tutoboe milango kashimo. Ukiwa unafungwa ni nani? Haya uliza. Uliza nitakujibu.
Is this the first time you are seeing this kind of information about the census, or have you been seeing it all around?
I've been seeing it.
You've been seeing it, okay.
On the other end, in 2009, we were counted. I was there. I have information about census. I know, because I participated, I think, in...
participated as an enumerator?
Yeah, no. To be counted. Yeah, I participated because it was a government thing, and I was excited to be counted.
Yeah.
You know, Pia, you never know, maybe that's the least itatumika heaven. Kenyan guys, you're not there, shauri yako. So I went there, I was counted. I think the ones I can remember are two.
Okay. 2009 and 1999.
Yeah, 1999. I remember guys coming home, and for sure it was the people that we knew.
But back then, these concerns were not there.
They were not there because
like
I
data
guess,
issues, etc.
Yeah, the issue about
Security.
data, we were not that digital.
Yeah.
We were not so digital. So people never didn't know about digital.
Okay.
Now people are aware about digital. If you receive a message from an unknown source, you know you can sue the person, or even the mobile, the communication company. If you receive information, an SMS from some unknown places, you are supposed to ask, where did they get my data from? Where did they get my number from? But for this one, people need to be sensitized about census. People need to know why it's happening. And the problem is the people that are coming to count us. Who are they?
Yeah.
Especially in Nairobi, where we live and you don't even know your neighbor. You talked about having people that you actually see passing around. Najua kuna maconmen wanapitanga tu. Hey, do you think it's your neighbor? Alafu siku moja shaiba hata bibi. You know? So now you can imagine that person now, you'll come to count.
Okay, page 8 of the Daily Nation still, and I'd like to get Tabitha's views on this. Arrest all drug barons, state is being urged. So coast leaders want the national government to arrest all the drug barons in the region, led by the Chief Kadi, Ahmed Mukhtar. And also, we heard the Interior Cabinet Secretary saying that there's going to be a sting operation and it's going to be painful and he's not going to mince his words over that. Does this strategy work? Isn't it supposed to be just a surprise element to it? Because we also saw in Ali Punjani's house, they only found 2 rolls of bang and 3,000 shillings, and this is someone who suspected.
Like a house of that stature, you find exactly. 3 Gs.
That's all you find, 3,000 and 2 rolls of bang. Is this announcement a strategy that are we shooting ourselves in the foot, basically? Because when you sound the warning, then everybody knows they're coming.
Sort of. Everybody knows they're coming, but there is advantages of doing that. But I think the most important thing is that we don't do it as a one-time thing.
Yeah.
We need to be doing this more often, and it should not even be something that has to be written about in the newspapers. We should always go to bed knowing that the government is doing everything it can to get all these drug barons. And I think one of the disadvantages of announcing that we are coming to look is that people now have to be in their best behavior and sort of pretend that everything is okay. But like he had mentioned during the break, there's advantages of that, because once you do that, then you get to collect intelligence that maybe you would not have gotten had you not announced it. But I think what needs to happen is once these people get arrested, then the law should take its course and these people should be held accountable for what they're doing. So people know that if I go report someone that they're for involvement in drug issues, then the law will, one, protect me, two, hold this person accountable because of the implications that that has on the society.
Yes.
So I think it's a very good move given what has been happening at the coast, because the drug issues have resulted in a lot of young people dropping out of school, the economic issues that come with dropping out of school. A lot of people get drawn into other criminal activities because of such things. So I think this is a very good move, but it should be done more often. And we need, as Kenyans, we need to be assured that people who break the law will get punished for it.
Okay. Maliba, we're due for a break, but before that, your thoughts on this?
I think it's a good, whatever is happening at the moment is, for me, very progressive. And like she has said, I still do not think there is a problem with somebody saying we will be doing a sting operation. I think deliberately from the strategic, or rather from a tactical point of view, the security people call it tinkling the wire, where once you say we are coming, then the people who are suspect start talking to each other. Then from a higher level, you are able to know who's talking to who. That's some element of intelligence you might not get if you moved in secretly, especially when everything is safe. But if I have got something with Trevor, for example, and you say you are coming to check, somehow I'll find means of trying to reach out to him. If you're doing good surveillance, then you are able to say, okay, there's a link here we can put together. So there's the advantage to that. But I know we are a country that loves to criticize. There's nothing that can be done right, which is very progressive, actually, and very good for democracy. But I think we are doing very well. And when you say that they went to Baktash's house and they didn't get anything, do we expect that they will find container full of drugs here? Because literally, who would be doing such like business that wherever I live, I would actually keep busy? And who said that they were here? So you
think this could be part of a wider, there's a wider plan?
That's what I'm saying, that our police officers are not necessarily clueless. They are not stupid. I know we really love portraying our security people as clueless people who do not know what they are doing. Those guys, because the business of intelligence is very sharp stuff. So once they've gone to probably this house, whatever they're looking for wasn't even drugs. They probably were looking for some other links, because you have to build this thing, and the threshold of evidence is so high. So let us always, by the way, look at the police officers and appreciate the kind of work they are doing. We run to them when we are being mugged and beaten up, but when they do some other business, we're actually looking at them as people who can do it. Those people know what they are doing. But they went to school to do this thing.
There are gaps in the legal system, because for the Aktash brothers, for example, we've been unable to get them. Now they're facing charges elsewhere.
You see, somebody, that's now a matter of jurisprudence. Somebody using their own law with their own threshold of evidence, they set the whole thing up. They post as customers. These guys started to import. They have got a law that says that you intended to bring something here, so we can bring you here. You wanted to harm us. Does our law do that? Our criminal procedure, does it work around that? Do we have the resources to go to that extent?
So that's a weakness on our part.
It's a weakness on our end. And for example, corruption around here is a big thing. So if the guys in the US have been able to
see those like
to go around our corruption circles, and we get around this thing. And once we want to point fingers at our political system and government for being corrupt, but we are also corrupt just like the government we elect. This government was not forced on us. Those people come from us. We are corruptible if we are not corrupt. Government is a representative of who we are as a people. So before we start pointing fingers on the other side, we should realize that this is the product of what we can give them as a set.
Okay. Jessy, I want to engage you after the break. Let's now take that quick break. And as always, you can talk to us about our topics this morning. 22422 is the SMS line. The hashtag is Daybreak. We'll be right back.